Greetings, everybody. Nino the Mystic here, and welcome to another Sunday Live, or Let's Talk, as we like to call it here, with my co-host Robert. How you doing tonight, Robert?
Doing real good. I'm pumped and stoked, and I'm over this time change. I made it through. It's kind of got me all messed up with time today, but I had the day off, so it wasn't so bad. Didn't have to worry about getting up,
good.
Later or earlier. And they say that affects people for heart attacks and things like that.
They say there's a lot more accidents like tomorrow morning for the rush hour in the morning tomorrow now. There's going to be a lot more accidents than there normally is. So I don't know why they're still doing this whole time thing. Like I thought I'd heard that the states decided not to do it anymore. Or is it maybe a certain part? I saw actually in one of the other chats the other day, Scotty was saying that Hawaii, they've never done it there. They don't do it there.
Well, Arizona doesn't do it either.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's just certain states that decided maybe not to, and I thought, well, great. Maybe Canada will, go along with that, because usually Canada does whatever the states does. We follow usually. Big bro, right?
Oh, yeah, that's because you're going to be the 51st.
When it comes to business, I mean, let's face it, no matter, even though we got all these tariffs and we're all this, now we're all just, whatever, we're still we're probably each other's biggest business partners, back and forth. So at an hour in business, that's going to mean a big difference. So you can't have different times. We already trying to work around the time zones as it is, never mind that adding that extra hour here and there, so I wish that they would really consider just scrapping that whole thing. Anyways, that's not what this show is about. But I'm sure most of you have already changed your clocks, and if you haven't, do it now, I guess, before you get up in the morning. Or are you going to be late, or are you going to be early? Whichever. I'm not sure now. Late, I guess you're going to be early, actually, because we sprung ahead. So I guess that's not so bad. But
people
so we're
like
back.
Their rhythms.
I don't know. Sorry.
They like their rhythms. They're people like patterns. They do. So do animals.
They like to be on a schedule. People are very, they like the schedules, routines, and all this, and throwing that whole twice a year too. You just start getting used to, and then you got to change again, and it's like, I really don't see, but I think it comes down to money, of course, which most things, do, is why they did that. I don't think it really had to do too much about the farmers, or I don't know how that what the excuse was of why they wanted to do it, but because the farmers are going to get up when the sun comes up, no matter what time it says. The sun's up, you get up. Sun goes down, you go to bed. We don't need a clock essentially to tell us that, do we? So no. It seems a little ridiculous, but anyways, here we are. Hopefully things will change here. Everything seems to be changing in the world, some for the better, some a little bit questionable, but anyways, we're diving into the past, essentially trying to figure out where we come from, and basically the past. And in that, though, I think we're going to be able to kind of figure out things, and as in why things are happening now, and where we get things from as well. And once you start learning more in there, I know you said something earlier before the show that you had some gems that you wanted to get into, or something you wanted to get into.
Exactly. Now all of you know we've been reading about the Anunnaki, and we've been reading from Zecharia, Sitchin, and he wrote those books years and years and years ago. And you all know that the new guys in town are Matthew LaCroix and Billy Carson. They wrote this book, Epic of Humanity. Sorry, my tongue is tied. But in here, they're talking about, Matthew LaCroix. He's talking about this stuff, and came up with a good one. That it's basically a basic version of what Sitchin is talking about. But as you know, they go over all this stuff over and over and over. A lot of this stuff I've heard so many times that could almost tell it to you in my sleep. Every now and then, I come up with some stuff, and he's talking about things, and these things start clicking in my head. Like he was talking about the name of Iroquois. It was talking about how this was a mountain house, an ancient mountain, and then of course now it's an ancient mountain temple dedicated to the god Enlil in the city of Nippur in Iraq. Well, then I got to thinking, well, it probably wasn't a temple when the guy was there. It was his house, just like all these people that are in high society, they have their mountain house, and when they die off or whatever, it becomes a museum or a library. The president, for instance, like Reagan, he dies off, and what did they do? Oh, we're going to build a presidential library right on his ranch, kind of thing. It'll be there forevermore.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it has in here one of these tablets, and it was talking about how these guys, the Gigi, were, upset, and they went, they set fire to their tools. They weren't getting relieved of all their hard work. This is important because we don't talk enough about the Gigi. We don't know they're supposed to be gods like the Anunnaki, but not quite. They're lesser gods, which I don't understand that.
Apparently, from what I understand, the Gigi were sort of the working class. So they weren't, so it's more of a status thing, not so much a species thing, but rather a status in society. And so they were the workers versus the elites.
And all I can think about is it's the difference between like a blue collar worker and a white collar.
A white collar, exactly. Yeah.
So it's trying to. Well, he says, it says, "Come, let us carry Enlil, the counselor of the gods, the warrior, from his dwelling." So they go march up this mountain to his mountain house, and we get him to relieve our hard work. Now, cried Battle, the Gigi set fire to their tools. When they reached the gate of the warrior Enlil's dwelling, it was night in the middle watch. Iroquois was surrounded. That's his mountain house. Enlil had not realized it. Of course, he's sleeping. It's at night, middle of the night. They compounded at the door with pitchforks and stakes. I don't know exactly, but
there was kind of like that. Yeah.
But I can imagine.
We saw, because I know we started the Anunnaki story way back when we were watching that video, and I think we went through this part already because I know I've heard all this. But we did. This is the tablets. I'm sure everybody's heard it 100 times by now. This is tablet 1 anyway. Anu made his voice heard and spoke to the gods, his brothers. What are we complaining of? He's saying, hey, what do you guys want in the middle of the night? Trying to refer, I'm trying to make it real after I studied this for a while. Their work was indeed too hard, and their trouble was too much. Ea made his voice heard and spoke. Let us create a mortal man. This is where it gets really interesting because you got to watch the words. The words. Listen, let us create a mortal man. Mm-hmm. So obviously there was a man. Okay? So that he may bear the yoke, the work of Enlil. Okay, so, he can do the work for Enlil. Let man, now listen, you got to listen to the certain words. Let man bear the load of the gods. Now he's talking man. Okay? Mm-hmm. Ninatu made her voice heard and spoke. That's Enlil's wife. On the 1st, 7th, and 15th of the month, I shall make a purification by washing. Then one god should be slaughtered. Then a god and a man will be mixed together in clay. Okay, so I dissected this a little bit. Remember, he said, let man bear the load of the gods. Then he said,
a god and a man, a lesser god with a little small g, be mixed together in clay. Well, what is clay?
That's us.
Well, it's the earth, and it's all,
Well, we come from the dust. We come from the earth, right? That's why they
yeah.
say that.
Well,
From
and clay is basically got a lot of minerals in it. It's got a lot of minerals and, you know, formation and, you know, stuff like that. So it's just not dirt, you know, because if you go down to the seashore, that is sand. Then there's, you know, dirt, you know, that's a mix of dead materials, and then there's clay, which is different than dirt, right? They always talk about clay because it has the minerals. Okay, and clay is bound to the earth. Okay, so then she says, let a ghost come into existence from the god's flesh. Okay, and then I'm saying, okay, a ghost. Where have you ever heard that before, that word? You know, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost.
Holy Ghost, yeah.
Then they changed it to the Holy Spirit. And it says, let the ghost come into existence from the God's flesh. It said, let the ghost exist so as not to forget the slain God. Okay? Okay, so there you're talking about, and I've got all this down. It says, you know, here you have a man, you have a ghost, and you have a God. Remember? So you have, what are the three? The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. You get what I'm saying now? Thinking about it for a long time, I started thinking, this is where that come from. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Father is the God, the Gigi God that got slaughtered, not the Anunnaki. The man is the son because he's being born of clay, and then the ghost is the spirit, the fractal spirit that they put into the man to bring him to life. Okay? And then it says at the end, let the ghost exist as so not to forget the slain God. And so from then on, the man, well, it says, it goes on, we're going to touch into this. It says, and so it says they bound him, holding him for Ea. Then they inflicted the penalty on him, Kingu, and severed his blood vessels. From his blood, Ea created mankind. Now it changes from man, the word, to mankind. So there was man on earth, and now it became mankind, a change in man. We always wondered, you know, like in the story of Adam and Eve, how could these two, you know, brothers run off, you know, and Seth and what you call it, run off and get wives? Where did Cain go to get a wife? You know what I'm saying? Because there was man on earth. Now they were mankind. Okay, let's go on. On whom he imposed the services of the gods and set the gods free. So the Gigi were free to go. Afterwise, he had created again mankind and had imposed the service of the gods upon them. The task was beyond comprehension. The gods were then divided. Okay, the gods were divided. I think they were divided on what to do or into classes. But then here's another trick one. All of the Anunnaki in upper and lower groups, okay, upper and lower. He assigned 300 to the heavens and the guards, deceased of Anu, and appointed them as guards. So 300 of them went up and a bunch of them stayed down. Were these the angels or watchers or messengers that we talk about today that are watching us? He assigned 300 to the heavens. And what did the heavens do? They watched down over the lower class. You see what I mean? And of course, he said he's dividing them, which is back to, well, political parties, white collar and blue collar. You get what I'm saying? So he's talking about all of this stuff right there. And I think a lot of people skip over that. Though a simple word like man and mankind can mean a whole lot of difference there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, to
Like
me, the difference there for me would be, a man versus many men, mankind, as in you got a whole pile of them now. So it's a group of
yeah, but
men,
he
essentially.
just created them, but he's referring to I took, as man is out there, and now I have man, this is mankind. So, I start thinking about the interpretations, and I start thinking, well, maybe the way they interpret it was they're trying to differ one section of man to a different section of man. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it all depends on your interpretation. I mean, you got to remember you're interpreting a dead language, and
Yeah.
uh,
But
but
then you can bring in the whole hue man as well. So, there's a lot of, yeah, and that's the thing. We've translated this, so many different languages, so many different people, different times, and it's yeah,
but
it's
there but it's all up to interpretations, your own
yeah.
thoughts. But
Well,
like I
that's
said,
it. That's
after
the
going
thing.
through that, that's
Yeah.
what I come up with. It made a lot of sense to me, especially the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. And
Well,
I'll only
where
say
religion got their stuff from, right? So
yes.
that so that's another thing that makes me question. It's very obvious that the people 2,000 years ago, if that's also up for debate of whether how many years it was, but say 2,000 years ago, came up with that story. Now that makes you wonder. We only found those clay tablets, but 200 years ago. So
Yes.
where did they find this information? And that's where you got to start to wonder now, like, were we set up? Did they place that there for us to find at that time? You know what I mean? Like, because obviously they had that information 1,800, years before that. So yeah, it's we really got
Well,
to.
it was a hidden library, but and there have been other tablets out there, but for hundreds and hundreds of years. The problem is until just the 1800s, they didn't have that Rosetta Stone in order to translate those those words, because otherwise they were untranslatable. I mean, I could give you a bunch of gibberish, and I may create a language, but if there's no Rosetta Stone to translate it into anything that you have available, then you'll never figure it out. And
Yeah,
that's
I
what
know.
the
So
problem
just to kind of clarify a little bit here, we're kind of this part that he's reading about now. This is obviously way further in the story than what we are. We're
well,
still working on that first tablet, right? So this
yeah,
we're
yeah.
probably
Well,
not going to
this was the
this.
first. What I'm talking about is the first step. We've already went through all this stuff. It's just,
Okay.
like I said, I was reading through this, and I just caught this one little bit from this one tablet they were talking about, and I was like, it just the light bulb went off, and I was like, oh my gosh, we read right over that, and we didn't even see it. So there you
Yeah,
go.
there you go. That's amazing. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so to clarify too, for those who are new, or maybe somebody missed some of the other shows that we've done or whatever, the Ijiji, and I did a whole show just on the Ijiji, and I don't think we got enough views on that, to be honest. I think we did it so early on in my channel that there was nobody here yet. So I do urge you guys to go back and look at some of the older shows, because they do deserve to get more views, to be honest with you. But the Gigi are what the occultists call, or the religious people call, the fallen angels. Okay, that's a story in the Bible about these fallen, those fallen angels falling. That's not the story. When you read the tablets, these were the Gigi. They were the working class that were signed up in Mars. And the reason why they got so upset, or one of the reasons why they got upset, was because there was no women up there. They were alone. There was just a bunch of guys, like 300 dudes, working up there. And as you can imagine, they got tired of that, tired of the work, tired of, and there's no leisure time. There's no women. There's nothing to do. So And that's essentially, why they got kind of mad. They wanted somebody else to take over. And also, then when we did get created, they were looking at us like, hey, because I guess there's no other women around. And that's kind of where that whole story comes from. So, yeah, go and check out that other, episode that we did there. It should be, down in the
Mhm.
playlist or wherever it is under the Sunday shows or whatever. Go and check that out. It's definitely worth a gander, and to get more understanding on the stuff that we are talking about here. But before we get going, make sure that you guys are smashing that like. I noticed the algorithms are definitely not in my favor tonight. A lot of people, there was nobody here before we started, and so obviously this is not in the feed, I guess. I don't know how that all works with YouTube, to be honest with you guys, but if you guys can help us out by liking and sharing it, sharing it into your groups and wherever you are at, it really does help us out. And just a reminder too that I am not monetized here. I don't have any sponsors, and so we are relying on crowd-funded sponsorship here. Audience funded, I guess. So we do accept donations here, okay? As well as we have a merch store that you can go and check out.
Go buy a
And
shirt
right, he's
or a hat
wearing it. And I
or
was going to
more.
mention, yeah, there's so many things in there. And now that we've had it for a while, and I use my stuff all the time. I wash and wear. And I got to say, the logo, whatever, it stands up to the wash. And my dryer is hot. Yeah, I got lots of stickers. And that's another thing. You can email me for stickers and fridge magnets. Clearing spray, I do offer a few things that I have here that you guys can email me or DM me wherever you're at, and we can set that up. But just use the PayPal link down below there, guys, and or email me first, whichever you want to do. And yeah, go and check it out. And I gotta say, like, the quality is good. The logo is not wearing off like some of the merch out there. You got that thick, heavy, kind of plastically almost thing that breaks apart as soon as you dry it. Well, this does not. It stays the same shape. It's not wearing off, I've noticed. And so I'm really happy with the quality. So I got to give them a little shout out for that. They do have good quality there at the Streamlabs merch store. So now I also did post up a video there last week or whatever it was. I did get an email from Streamlabs. They had raised the prices a little bit, but I noticed it was mainly the Under Armour stuff that they raised the price on. So I don't know. They don't tell you why,
Tariffs.
but
Tariffs. It's tariffs.
no, this is before the tariffs. So I don't know if the tariff thing is going to affect me at all, because I believe the Streamlabs is running out of the States and most of my customers are in the States. So I don't see that being a problem. And we
No,
also have
I was kind of
in
joking.
Europe.
I was kind of
two.
joking.
Well, no, it's people are wondering about this. There's two warehouses with Streamlabs. One's in the States, one's in Europe. So depending on where you're ordering from, you should get it within, reasonable shipping cost there. I noticed they don't really charge that much for the shipping. And so I don't think the tariff is going to, make a difference, but prices go up. Like the steel, I do believe steel has gone up. And so I did notice that the stainless steel cup went up a little bit. So it could be cost of steel. I don't know. Like I said, they don't tell you why, they just do. And there's nothing I can do about that, unfortunately. So some of the things, but the t-shirts didn't go up. But the other thing they did too, they discontinued the ladies t-shirt. The fitted ladies t-shirt was discontinued. Again, I don't know why they did. I don't know. So there is no more ladies, unfortunately. So you just got the classic unisex t-shirt there, as well as, of course, your tank tops. I do believe the ladies' tank top is still there. So there's two types of tank tops and a bunch of long sleeves and hoodies and all kinds of things. So, I'm sure you guys are been in there and checked it out before. But yeah, go and check that out. It's a great way to support the stream here, support the channel, as it's the only way that we're supporting and moving forward, with expenses and everything else that comes with the live streaming. So if you guys don't mind, go and checking out the store or doing donations, the links are pinned in the chat right now. And if you do it during the live show, you will get a shout out right away. And if not, you can also do it at any old time. Of course, links are down in the description for that, as well as everything else that we offer here. And yeah, we might as well get into the book here. We are on page 105, I believe. Let me get in there now. 105. So I'm going to start right there where it says the evidence that the gods. We're going to get started there. And if you're interested in the free PDF, I do have it down in the description here, as well as, of course, it's already pinned up on Gilded and Discord, where I have several other PDFs and links for free as well. So go and check all that out. All the links are down below. All right. So we kind of left off right in the middle of a chapter because the chapters are so long and we can't seem to get through one chapter per thing. So it is right in the middle, but it is page 105. And yeah. So it says here, the evidence that the gods of Sumer possessed not just flying chambers for roaming Earth's skies, but space-going multi-stage rocket ships also emerges from the examination of texts describing the sacred objects of Utu's temple at Sipar. We are told that witnesses at Sumer's Supreme Court were required to take the oath in the inner courtyard, standing by a gateway through which they could see a face 3 divine objects. These were named the Golden Sphere, the Cruise Cabin, question mark there, the GIR, and I'll highlight this because I'm horrible with names, Alika Maharati. I have no idea what the heck that is. A term that literally means advancer that makes vessels go, or what we would call a motor, an engine. What emerges here is a reference to a 3-part rocket ship, which the cabin or command module on the top end, the engines at the bottom end, and the gear in the center. The latter is a term that has been used extensively in connection with space flight. The guards Gilgamesh encountered at the entrance to the landing place of Shamash was called gearmen. In the temple of Nirota, the sacred or most guarded inner area was called the Girisu, where the gear is sprung up. Gear is generally, that's not how you spell it in English, is it? Gear, no, it's spelled completely different. No. But I'm assuming we're talking gears, like gears, spinning gears, like,
no,
or not, or it just sounds like that. Okay.
He says gear is literally meant to advance or makes a vessel go. A gear would be like the motor. The motor. A motor.
Yeah, the gear's inside the motor.
Yeah, but we're talking a rocket ship, so there's, it'd be like more of a jet, so whatever. I mean, you're talking, if it was a plane, I could see, but you're talking a jet or a rocket. Doesn't.
It just sounds like gear is the same in Norwegian, and so that's why it kind of. That's what came to mind when I read that, but maybe it is something completely different. Anyways, gear, it is generally acknowledged, was a term used to describe a sharp edge object. A close look at the pictorial sign for gear provided a better understanding of the term divine nature. For what we see is a long arrow-shaped object divided into several parts or compartments, like this here, I guess. Oh, we actually get to see the picture of it. Like this here, almost like a sphere, though. Like, okay, that the Mu could hover in Earth's sky. Mu, that was what, a ship?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly now. It's been so long in between episodes that we forget what we're reading there. Could hover in Earth's skies on its own, or fly over Earth's lands when attached to a gear, or become the command module on top of a multi-stage pin, whatever that is testimony to the engineering and inequity of the gods of Sumer, the gods of heaven and earth. Oh, so that's the difference in the gods of Sumer and the gods of heaven are 2 different things?
Yes, as I was saying, different classes.
That's interesting. Okay. Okay. And then gods of earth is something completely. So that's three different types of gods then. Three different
Yes.
places. Okay. Well, that's interesting. So, because the gods
Well,
aren't the gods of Sumer the gods of earth? Like, didn't
well, see,
they?
and that's what I was saying too. Is I think at some point in time, after they got rid of the Gigi, they said, "Hey, we're going to divide things up. We're going to give the Gigi a higher position in the heavens above, and then
Right.
the mankind, the smarter ones, because you got man and then you got mankind. They would be the lesser of the two because man itself must have been really dumb, and then mankind was smarter because it was a mix between the god and the human, or
Mm.
the man. And
Well,
then of course you got the Anunnaki themselves, which are the supreme god. So there's your three.
well, the Ijiji are Anunnaki, so
Yeah, but they're a separate class, or they wouldn't be
yes,
working.
it's class, but there's Anunnaki is more the species, not so much the class. It's more of a
Okay.
species term. It's a blanket term. I mean, really, Anunnaki are
But
many different
well,
species
oh,
from,
no, but I get that, but it
yeah,
still gives you three. It still gives
yeah,
you the guys on Earth. It gives you the guys that, the 300 in heaven, or who could be the Gigi. I'm not, nobody's really certain anyway. But I'm just saying is okay. So you got the guys in the heavens watching, and then you got the Anunnaki, who are the supreme god leaders. Regardless if they're a
right.
species or
The
they're
leaders,
upper
yeah,
god. So there's your three tiers right there.
yeah. And also, don't forget that the Gigi were left here to babysit us. So
Yes.
when they decided to take off, they left them here, and that's why we're in the state we are now. Because they
Yeah.
probably shouldn't have probably told us as much as they did, but that's not for debate. But a review of the Sumerian pictographs and ideograms leave no doubt that whoever drew these signs were familiar with the shapes and purposes of rockets with tails and billowing fire, missile-like vehicles, and celestial cabins. And again, we get to see the graph here, which is nice. We weren't able to before. I'm not sure exactly. I didn't do anything different, but so that's interesting looking kind of thing there. And then you got this Ka gear, a rocket's mouth, showed a fin-equipped gear, a rocket inside a shaft-like underground enclosure.
Yeah.
ESH, divine abode, the chamber or command module of a space vehicle. I don't see that, but I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm looking at here. And then Zeke, ascend, a command module taken off, and they got question mark here. Finally, let's look at the pictographic sign for gods in Sumerian. The term was a two-syllable word, din gear. We have already seen that the symbol for gear was a two-stage rocket with fin. Din, the first syllable, meant righteous, pure, bright. Put together then din gear as gods or divine beings, conveyed the meaning the righteous one of the bright pointed objects. That's what it means. The righteous ones of the bright pointed objects, or more explicitly, the pure ones of the blazing rockets. The pictograph sign for Din was this. Easily brings to mind a powerful jet engine spewing flames from the end part and a front part that is puzzlingly open. But the puzzle turns to amazement if we spell Dingir by combining the two pictographs. The tail of the fin-like gear fits perfectly into the opening of the front of the din. So you see it going,
Yeah.
in there. The astonishing result is a picture of a rocket-propelled spaceship with a landing craft docked in perfectly, just as the lunar module was docked with the Apollo 11 spaceship. It is indeed a three-stage vehicle with each part fitting neatly into another. The thrust option containing the engines, the midsection containing supplies and equipment, and the cylindrical sky chamber housing the people named Dingir, the gods of antiquity, the astronauts of a millennia ago. Can there be any doubt that the ancient people, in calling their deities gods of heaven and earth, meant literally that there were people from elsewhere who had come to earth from the heavens? Question mark. The evidence thus far submitted regarding the ancient gods and their vehicles should leave no further doubt that there were once indeed living beings of flesh and blood, people who literally came down to earth from the heavens. Even the ancient compilers of the Old Testament, who dedicated the Bible to a single God, found it necessary to acknowledge the presence upon earth in early times of such divine beings. The enigmatic section, a horror of translators and theologians alike, formed the beginning of chapter 6 of Genesis. It is imposed between the review of the spread of mankind through the generations following Adam and the top of the divine disenchantment with mankind that preceded the deluge. It states unequivocally that at the time the sons of the gods saw the daughters of man, that they were good. So they took them for wives, of all which they chose. So we've known this thing in the Bible, right? So that we were just talking about that.
Yep.
They must have gotten this story, right, from these tablets. You
And
know what
then
I mean?
again, and then again, I got to thinking about it. It's like, um, well, let's just refer to modern day. We'll go back a couple hundred years to the slave days, right? And people were bringing, people from Africa over here. We'll just try to skate around this a little bit so we don't get all unpolitically correct, or we stay kind of politically correct. But the point is a lot of those slave masters would take, maybe not take wives because it wasn't politically correct, but they did have sons and daughters from those women that were not of the same race or color. Thomas Jefferson is a good one. Even though whatever, but he is known. It's a fact that he, took some of his slave women and had children with them. So it
Well,
just
you
makes
go
sense
back,
that
yeah.
these,
Even the Dolores Cannon book that we were reading, we read
yeah,
about this. That it was an honor to be picked by the master, to
yeah,
share, and so yeah, so being a slave meant that they can do that. I
yeah,
guess and in the Viking stories too, slave girls, there was no say in any of that.
yeah,
Yeah, unfortunately. So so that's just the way it was. That's not our fault, obviously.
yeah,
Things have
yeah,
changed. Well, they have and they haven't, to be honest. It's just covered under different names and whatever now. But whatever.
yes,
We're not going to go into that here. All right, so the implications of these verses and the parallels to the Sumerian tales of gods and their sons and grandsons of all semi-divine offspring resulting from cohabitation between gods and mortals mount further as we continue to read the biblical verses. The Nephilim were upon the earth in those days and thereafter too, which the sons of the gods cohabited with the daughters of Adam, and they bore children unto them. They were the mighty ones of eternity, the people of Shem. The above is not a traditional translation. For a long time, the expression, the Nephilim were upon the earth, has been translated as, there were giants upon the earth. But recent translators, recognizing the error, have simply resorted to leaving the Hebrew term Nephilim intact in the translation. The verse, the people of the Shem, as one could expect, has been taken to mean the people who have a name, and thus the people of renown. But as we have already established, the term Shem must have been taken in its original meaning a rocket ship. What then does the term Nephilim mean? Stemming from a Semitic root NFL, to be cast down, it means exactly what it says. It means those who were cast down upon earth. Contemporary theologians and biblical scholars have tended to avoid the troublesome verse, either by explaining them away allegorically or simply by ignoring them altogether. But Jewish writings at the time of the Second Temple did recognize in these verses the echoes of ancient tradition of fallen angels, some of the early scholars working on, no, working even mention the names of these divine beings who fell from heaven and were on earth in those days. Shamhasai, highlighted there, Shem's lookout, Uzzah, mighty, and Uzziel, God's might. Malbin, a noted Jewish biblical commentator of the 19th century, recognized these ancient roots and explained that in ancient times, the ruler of countries were the sons of the deities who arrived upon the earth from the heavens and ruled the earth and married wives from among the daughters of man. And their offspring included heroes and mighty ones, princes and sovereigns. These stories, Malbim said, were of the pagan gods, son of the deities, who in earlier times fell down from heaven upon earth. That is why they call themselves Nephilim, as in those who fell down. So when they're talking about falling, there's no falling. They're flying in a ship down here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you gotta get over that word.
Well, I think, and if you really start really using your common sense for all of that, it'd be like we talked about. If you're a half breed, just like Gilgamesh was, he's allowed in the gates, but he's not allowed all the privileges. He was a half breed, and therefore, he could pass, but he wasn't. He couldn't get to the heavens because he wasn't full blooded. So he was stuck here on earth
Right.
forevermore. He was cast down and he had to stay. And there was no going. He could never go up because he was never full blooded.
So that must have something to do with our vibrations, different beings. You're not vibrating the same as the other, so you're not going to tolerate the atmosphere, or you're not going to tolerate the energies on those planets.
Well, like I said, just using your common sense, saying that, look how we censored people for hundreds of years here, because of your color, your race, your creed, anything. Oh, you're a half breed. Well, if they didn't know, but if you told them, or if we had DNA checks, well, then you would be censored to be like, oh, he ain't a full-blooded white guy. Oh, he ain't a full-blooded, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
But they do that now with Native Americans. The Native Americans have themselves DNA tested to see who can be in the tribe or not, because people are like, oh, my grandmother was a Cherokee or something. And well, your grandmother was a Cherokee, but you've been bred down so much, you only have a small bit of the Cherokee blood in you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I get, okay, well, that kind of takes away what I just said, but that seems a little, I don't know, pathetic to me that these people that would actually discriminate just for that. But hey, with everything else that they've been doing, why would that surprise me? But that kind of explains also, because we still do that now. Like the royal family, for instance, is a direct descendant of these beings, and that's why there's so much about the bloodline. And you cannot marry into the royal family if you don't have any other blood. You know what I mean? So, and which explains why Meghan Markle, for instance, she's half black. You would think, well, somewhere down there, obviously she has the bloodline. Same with Obama. He's black, but and this probably goes back to the whole, having relations with your slaves and blah, blah, blah. So, you know what I mean? So there's going to be multiple of your bloodlines around. You know what
Exactly.
I mean?
But that's what I'm saying. They do it nowadays. It just makes it. I mean, you're just describing everything I said. They're doing it now. So why wouldn't they have done it even more back then with all the technology they apparently had?
This is where we get it from.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So then it makes sense. It makes real good sense then. So anyway, sorry.
Anyways, I'm not here to question why they did whatever.
No, I mean, all of this is just ideas. It's just ideas. None of us know, not even Zecharia Sitchin, not Billy Carson or Matthew LaCroix, you or me. None of us really know. We wouldn't live, 6,000 years ago.
No, I know. Yeah, exactly. It's just an interpretation, right, of the
Yeah.
But yeah, we're almost to chapter 6 here. Where did I left it? It fell down. Yeah. So, anyways, when they're talking about falling down, they're not, obviously that's not what they mean. They just mean that they came down here from somewhere else. Not that they fell somehow. I think people got caught up with that, like that they got
Mhm.
casted out, or I don't know. It's been miscrewed, I found.
Yeah.
But anyways, irrespectively of the theological implications, the literal and original meaning of the verse cannot be escaped. The sons of the gods who came to earth from the heavens were the Nephilim. Okay, so according to, from what I understood as a Christian, that it was the offspring of humans and the Anunnaki that were then the giants were the Nephilim.
Yeah.
But that's not what they're saying here.
They were the Nephilim were the
Doesn't
and then
say
they were
anything about breeding with the women here that they're it's just that it says that the gods who came here from somewhere else are the Nephilim.
Yeah.
So that's completely different. So here, this is a gem, okay, that is been either mistranslated in the Bible, or the Christian community has missed something in the translation here.
I think the Nephilim were lesser gods too, or they were like the Ajiji, or maybe these were the 300, and they were the ones that came down. They were the pure-blooded ones that came down when they had intercourse with the mankind. They produced these giants because it was a hybrid. The giants were the sons and daughters of the humans and the Nephilim. So therefore, they would be hybrid.
Yeah. So, like, how could an offspring all of a sudden become so giant compared to the parents? I don't understand that. That's physically impossible, actually.
Well,
there's no way a woman, and some giant would not be able to mate. That just wouldn't happen.
No, I get it, but even if they weren't giant, they may have produced a giant.
So the only way that this could have happened is if the Anunnaki were the same size as us, or that we are the same size as the Anunnaki. Now, how is it that two same size people all of a sudden produce this giant thing? There's a lot of questions here. I don't know either. Or unless, by mixing the DNA, and this is why we shouldn't be mixing, species and whatnot, which we don't anyways, because we're all human here. Because weird things can happen. This is why you can't take an animal, right, and breed it with it's not going to happen. I think we talked about this, like say the lion and the tiger, you can get one generation, but after that, there's no more. They can't reproduce.
Well, like we'll take something real simple, like a donkey and a horse. You made a donkey and a horse, and what do you get? You get a mule, right?
Right.
The mule is usually tougher, lives longer. They can be really big, way bigger than a donkey. The biggest donkey out there, and a mule will be way bigger than it.
Right.
So I'm just saying it takes different genes, but yet you can't mate a mule and a mule together.
The mule can't reproduce, though, right?
No, cannot.
Right. So that's what happens. You can get one generation out of it, but that's it. Then
that's it.
So it's like a fail safe, I guess.
Yes, but a mule is way tougher, way smarter, lives longer than any horse or probably donkey out there. I mean, it's got the best of everything, literally.
So that actually kind of explains the whole Nephilim, then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you end up with something that's way stronger and bigger than their father is.
Yes.
Just because you crossbred species here. Yeah. Okay. So that's very interesting.
Mhm.
And the Nephilim were the people of the Shem, the people of the rocket ships. Henceforward, we shall call them by their biblical name. Starting now, chapter 6, if you're interested, which is 108 in the PDF. If you want to read along, it's in the description there. I'll read a little bit more here and then I'll let you take over. And if you guys have any questions, put them in the live chat or down in the comment section and we'll get to them. Okay. We'd love to hear back from you guys. The suggestion that Earth was visited by intelligent beings from elsewhere postulates the existence of another celestial body upon which intelligent beings established a civilization more advanced than ours. Speculation regarding the possibility of Earth's visitation by intelligent beings from somewhere elsewhere has centered in the past on such planet as Mars or Venus as their planet of origin. However, now it is virtually certain that these two planetary neighbors of Earth has neither intelligent life nor an advanced civilization upon them. Those who believe in such Earth visitations look to other galaxies and to distant stars as the home of such extraterrestrial astronauts. The advantage of such suggestions is that while they cannot be proven or proved, they cannot be disproved either. The disadvantage is that these suggested homes are fantastically distant from Earth, requiring years upon years of travel at the speed of light. The authors of such suggestions, therefore, postulate one way trips to Earth, a team of astronauts on a no return mission, or perhaps on a spaceship lost out of control, crash landing upon Earth. This is definitely not the Sumerian notion of the heavenly abode of the gods. The Sumerian accept the existence of such a heavenly abode, a pure place of primal abode, while Enlil, Enki, and Nirgasut went to earth and made their home upon it. Their father Anu remained in the heavenly abode as its ruler. Not only occasional references in various texts, but also detailed god lists actually named 21 divine couples and their dynasty that precedes Anu at the throne of the pure place. Well, that's interesting. Anu himself resigned over a court of great splendor and extent, as Gilgamesh reported. The book of Ezekiel confirmed. It was a place with an artificial garden sculptured wholly of semi-precious stones. There Anu resided with his official consort Antu and 6 concubines, 80 offspring, of which 14 were by Antu, 1 prime minister, 3 commanders in charge of the MUS rocket ships, 2 commanders of the weapons, 2 great masters of written knowledge, 1 minister of the purse, 2 chief justices, 2 whom would sound impress, and 2 chief scribes with 5 assistant scribes. Mesopotamian texts refer frequently to the magnificence of the abode of Anu and the gods and weapons that guarded its gateway. The tale of Adapa reports that the god Enki, having approved Adapa with a Shem, made him take the road to heaven, and to heaven he went up. When he had ascended to heaven, he approached the gate of Anu. Tammuz and Gizada were standing guard at the gate of Anu. Guarded by the divine weapon, Shur-ur, the royal hunter, and Shargaz, royal killer, the throne room of Anu was the place of the assembly of the gods. On such occasion, a strict protocol governed the order of entering and seating. Enlil entered the throne room of Anu, seats himself at the place of the right tiara, on the right of Anu. Ea entered the throne room of Anu, seats himself at the place of the sacred tiara, on the left of Anu. The gods of heaven and earth of the ancient Near East not only originated in the heavens, but could also return to the heavenly abode. Anu occasionally came down to earth on state visits. Ishtar went up to Anu at least twice. Enlil's center in Nippur were equipped as a bond heaven-earth. Shamash was in charge of the eagles and the launching place of the rocket ships. Gilgamesh went up to the place of eternity and returned to Uruk. Adapa too made the trip and came back to tell about it. So did the biblical king of Tyre. A number of Mesopotamian texts deal with Upkalu, an Akkadian term stemming from the Sumerian Abgal, great one who leads, or master who points the way. A study by Gustav Gutenbuch, Die his something rather here. It looks like it's some kind of German something rather. Ascertained that these were the birdmen depicted as the eagles, right? Remember they have eagle head helmets on, so they look like eagles, they look like birdmen. Depicted as the eagles that were already shown. The text that spoke of their feats said one that he brought down Inanna from heaven to the Eanna temple made her descend. This and other references indicate that these Upkalu were the pilots of the spaceships of the Nephilim. There you go. See, Nephilim even have their own spaceships. Okay, they don't tell you. They don't tell you about that in the Bible.
No,
at all.
Nope.
So there you go. I'll let you take over now. I don't know if you want to chime in on any of that stuff, but
well, you know, and it gets you thinking that maybe the Nephilim were another race that joined up with them later on. You know, I mean, it does form a question of, hey, you know, because they were able to go to space, because how come they didn't talk about the Nephilim earlier on? It was the Gigi and the Anunnaki. Gigi Anunnaki. All of a sudden they create man, and all of a sudden the Nephilim are there?
Like I said, Anunnaki is just a blanket term. And so I believe on that ship that came, whatever, there was probably a lot of different beings, you know?
Yeah. Or it could be
one of them. Nephilim being one that they somehow either forgot to mention earlier, or you got overlooked somehow in their translation.
Or they showed up later, like the relief. They're the relief coming
or
to.
Or showed up later. Yeah, that could be too. I mean,
because it seems like all of a sudden the Anunnaki started going away, and you didn't really hear from them much, and then all of a sudden it became the Nephilim, you know, and then all of a sudden they disappeared, and now then it was just people on Earth. So kind of begs the question of, you know, was this the relief? And the Anunnaki said, okay, we did our part. We established it. You know, we've been here for, 50, 60,000 years. We did our thing. We're ready to go home. We did, you know how it goes. We're the first wave. The big leaders come in. Okay, we set up shop. Now you guys come in, and, we're not going to stay here forever and run the planet. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? Just like any other places. When we go in and go to the country, we go there, the big generals come in, they run everything, like, they get all the buildings built and the base set up, and then after that they retire, and then you got some other guys that show up. Yeah. The regular army shows up and runs.
So that could be it too, yeah. Yeah. It's interesting though that they're not the offspring of, like they explained it in the Bible. They're an actual being.
Yeah. So, but we don't know. Like I said, it just uses these different names, but it makes me curious of why they decided to start using these different names. Just like man is out there, but now look, we've created mankind. Is that two different separate words? That's the questions I'm asking. Is why would they start using this Nephilim word after being talking about the Anunnaki for so long and the Igigi? They would normally, I would think, they would assume them to be Igigi. What happened to them? They just disappeared. Now all of a sudden the Nephilim are here. I don't know.
Or are they still here? That's the question.
It could be. I don't know. I mean,
it's because it seems like there is something else in charge of this place. And so they might just be, in Antarctica or wherever they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but we also know that the Nephilim were the last ones to be here. So I guess. I'm guessing. Okay. But anyway, should we go on?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. Two-way travel was not possible but actually contemplated to begin with. For we are told that having decided to establish in Sumer the gateway of the gods, Bababli, the leader of the gods explained, when to the primeval source for assembled you shall ascend, there shall be a rest place for the night to receive you all. When from heavens for assembly you shall descend, there shall be a rest place for the night to receive you all. Realizing that such two-way travel between earth and the heavenly abode was both contemplated and practiced, the people of Sumer did not exile their gods to the distant galaxies. The abode of the gods, their legacy discloses, was within our own solar system. We have seen Samash in its original or its official uniform as commander of the Eagles. On each of his wrists, he wears a watch-like object held in place by metal clasps. Other depictions of the eagles reveal that all the important ones wore such objects. Whether they were merely decorative or served a useful purpose, we do not know. But all scholars are agreed that the objects represented rosettes, or a circular cluster of petals radiating from the center point. Yeah, I think we've all seen those watches on their hand and those handbags that they carry and the little pine cone. So
I'm curious. I was hoping they were going to tell us what that was, but they don't know. So
who knows? Maybe you got a picture that we could show everybody while I'm reading this. If you can look one up. The Rosetta was the most common decorative temple symbol throughout the ancient lands, prevalent in Mesopotamia, Western Asia, Anatolia, Cyprus, Crete, and Greece. It was the accepted view that the rosette was, as a temple symbol, was an outgrowth or a stylization of the celestial phenomenon, a sun encircled by its satellites. That the ancient astronauts wore the symbol on their wrist adds credence to this view. An Assyrian depiction of the gateway of Anu in the heavenly abode confirms ancient familiarity with a celestial system such as our sun and its planets. The gateway is flanked by two eagles, indicating that their services are needed to reach the heavenly abode. The winged globe, the supreme divine emblem, marks the gateway. It is flanked by celestial symbols of the number 7 and the crescent representing, we believe, Anu, flanked by Enki or Enlil and Enki. Where are the celestial bodies represented by these symbols? Where is the heavenly abode? The ancient artist answers with yet another depiction of that large celestial deity extending his rays to 11 smaller celestial bodies encircling it, and its representation of the sun, orbited by 11 planets. That is, that this was not an isolated representation can be shown by reproducing other depictions on a cylinder seals, like this one from the Berlin Museum of Ancient Near East. Of course, we don't have the picture. When the central god or celestial body in the Berlin seal is enlarged, we can see that it depicts a large ray-emitting star surrounded by 11 heavenly bodies, planets. These, in turn, rest on a chain of 24 smaller globes. It is only a coincidence that the number of all the moons or satellites of the planets in our solar system, of course, astronomers exclude those of 10 miles or less in diameter. Now, who are they to judge, I say, is also exactly 24. Now, there is, of course, a catch to claiming that the depictions of the sun and the 11 planets represent our solar system. For our solar system tells us that the planetary system of which Earth is part of comprises the sun, Earth, and moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. This adds up to the sun and only 10 planets. when the moon is counted as one, which means we're missing something. And according to our scientists, they tossed out Pluto. Sorry, Pluto. But that's not what the Sumerians said. They claimed that our solar system, or our system, was made up of the sun and 11 planets, counting the moon, and held steadfastly to the opinion that in addition to the planets known to us today, there has been a 12th member of our solar system, the home planet of the Nephilim. We shall call it
home planets. Oh, the Nephilim. Okay.
Yeah. So then again, so the Nephilim are part of our solar system. They're another race in our own solar system. And then again, they're talking about these planets. Could one of them be Tiamat, which is that solar asteroid belt between us and Mars, or after Mars, or you know what I mean? Tiamat that may have exploded.
Yeah. So I just want to add on a little bit here. Like, so the Christian community are basically saying that the Nephilim is the offspring of man and, the Gigi, essentially, and they call them fallen angels. But, and not only that, they're also claiming that when they die, they can't go to heaven, and that they are what we call demons now. So they're just roaming around here, causing all kinds of havoc, because they can't go to heaven because, they're part fallen angel as far as they're concerned, which is devils, And so this whole thing is all either mistranslation or misinformation, big time, by the people who wrote this Bible. Okay, so pay attention to this. Like, if you guys are teetering on, still on the religious thing, keep attention here. Yeah.
Well, Bonnie says something about the Raphaim, and they came from somewhere else too. I think that Earth was may have been kind of uninhabited, or something had happened, and it was just undiscovered land, and everybody wanted to stick their fork into it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think it was a very a nice place. I think there's a lot of resources here. Can you imagine how beautiful it was before we got here? Just water.
But that's what I mean. You got conquering forces out there saying, "Holy cow! Look at this place."
We have a lot of resources, and gold is one of them. And so I think a lot of species were fighting over to come here to plunder our resources.
Gold things, and who knows what else they found valuable. I mean, think about how long we've been sitting on lithium, and how long we've been sitting on cobalt and rare earth minerals.
We didn't know how to use it before. Yes.
Didn't know how to use them. Didn't know.
Same with electricity. It was always here. We just didn't know how to tap into it. And apparently same with AI. Artificial intelligence has always been here. We never invented anything. We just didn't know how to tap into it. And so that makes you wonder, these beings, however, are a lot more advanced, I'm assuming, right? According to the things. So they probably looked at this planet like, holy molies, look at this. Dibs. Well, I paid dibs. I put my stake in. It's mine. I want it. Just
we can do a small study right now, and it'll take about 2 seconds of our time. We know what happened with the undiscovered country of North and South America. When the Europeans came over here, they, like you said, they just put their stake in it and said, we claim this land, regardless of who's living on it. You got kingdoms of the Aztecs and stuff, and they're like, I'm sticking my stake in it. We own you. Your new ruler is this guy. And
it was very easy though for them, because there was no advanced civilization here. There was just some kind of hominoid, whatever species, right? That was here.
Well, well, exactly. But that's what I'm saying is, it to the Spanish coming over here back in the day, they had armor, and a small group of them defeated thousands of the indigenous peoples, and then stuck out claims and just said, we're taking the gold, we're taking whatever. and there's nothing you could do about it. We're going to enslave you. We're going to take your land and blah, 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 blah. And you don't think that these people coming from the heavens above were doing the exact same thing?
Well,
Of
that's
course they
exactly why
were.
they came here. Yeah, unless you're going to go with the whole crash landing theory, that
Yeah.
they kind of were forced to come down here because of something and they needed the gold to fix it. So that's
And
one
even if
theory.
they did,
No,
even if they
but
did, they still had more technology
yeah.
than all of the people living here. And
Well,
therefore,
yeah,
they would still
there
be the
was no
guy.
people here at that time. There was some, more like animal type of, probably standing on 2 feet. So you can debate the whole. I don't believe in the Big Bang, but the evolution. We talked about that on your show last night. We can debate that until we get, until the cows come home. But
Yeah.
I do believe there was some kind of species here that was maybe a little bit more advanced than say animals, but more like an animal. So they didn't feel like they were taking anything because there was nobody here as far as they were concerned of any
Oh, yeah. Of
intelligence.
course. Yeah.
So it was just, what are you going to do about it? Huh? You're just grunting over there. You have no idea what's going on. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was very easy for them to come here and take it,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. When you're
it was
able to
kind of
travel
like, what, I hate to say this, it was kind of like the white man went over to Americas
oh, yeah.
and convinced the Indians to trade their precious land that was full of oil and gold and whatever for a bottle of whiskey and some beads. Okay, it was kind of like the same type of thing,
Well, and no,
right?
I totally agree. That's why I was referring to that, is because, but then man didn't, they didn't even know that there what oil was. I mean, you could
Yeah, they didn't even
show.
know what that oil was there exactly. That
Yeah,
or what you could use that for, and so
exactly.
yeah,
Untapped
it's
riches.
you
Yeah.
know
So anyway, and
people
like I
get
said,
screwed over no matter what. And
who
even
knows
today,
that?
I bet you, even today, if something came down here, like say there is a alien invasion, they'll say, we'll create peace on Earth. All you have to give us is this, whatever this is, right? That we haven't discovered yet. And we're like, yeah, sure, yeah, take it. Not realizing that, oh shit, that's how what we could do with that, but we don't know. You see, and that could still happen to us if you don't
Well,
think you can.
I mean, you've seen some of those movies, and the aliens come down, and all they want is water, and
Yeah,
they're
that's
just
what
sucking
they
the
do.
ocean. I mean, think about it. If the aliens had come down and said, "Hey, we want some water," uh, we're gonna be like, "We got plenty of it. Take a bunch out of the ocean. We don't care." Woohoo! We're gonna get all this benefit by,
The
they'll
next
drop
thing you
the.
know, we're dry,
Yes,
so that's the
exactly.
thing. You don't want to be messing with that sort of stuff. And I have heard of missing water, so that there's something to that. Now that's a
Yeah.
whole nother show, but yeah, anyways, let's
It is.
continue on
So,
because we're gonna
okay, I'll continue on here.
a little bit
Before
more.
we check the accuracy, let's go back to that. Before we check the
Yeah.
accuracy of the Sumerian information, let us review the history of our own knowledge of Earth and the heavens around it. I think we just discussed that. We know today that beyond the giant planets of Jupiter and Saturn, at distances insignificant in terms of the universe, but immense in human terms, two or more major planets, Uranus and Neptune, and a third, small one, Pluto, belong to our solar system. But such knowledge is quite recent. Uranus was discovered through the use of improved telescopes in 1781. After observing it for some 50 years, some astronomers reached the conclusion that its orbit revealed the influence of yet another planet. Guided by such mathematical calculations, the missing planet named Neptune was pinpointed by astronomers in 1846. Then, by the end of the 19th century, it became evident that Neptune itself was being subjected to unknown gravitational pull. Was there yet another planet in our solar system? The puzzle was solved in 1930 with the observation and location of Pluto. Up to 1780, then, and for centuries before that, people believed there were 7 members of our solar system: the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Earth was not even counted as a planet because it was believed that these other celestial bodies encircled Earth. Yeah, everything revolves around us, of course. And the
Right.
most important celestial body created by God, with God's most important creation, man, upon it. Our textbooks generally credit Nicholas Copernicus with the discovery that the Earth is the only one of the several planets in the heliocentric or the sun-centered system. Fearing the wrath of the Christian church for challenging Earth's central position, Copernicus published his study, and I ain't going to try that, only when on his deathbed in 1543. Spurred to re-examine centuries-old astronomical concepts, primarily by the navigational needs of the Age of Discovery, and by findings by Columbus, Magellan in 1520, and others that Earth was not flat but spherical. Go figure.
Hey, now this is it. This is another gem, guys.
Yeah.
This was all talked about way before this whole flat Earth thing came out.
Oh yeah, Galileo knew that Earth was a sphere.
I mean, back in the day, they did believe that the Earth was flat. But for the last, I don't know how long.
Yeah, I think these guys knew it, but you had to go along with the church because you didn't want to get burned at the stake either. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Yes,
I mean,
that is
look,
true.
we do that today. We censor ourselves so we don't get axed on YouTube. Okay, well,
but anyways, part of the spherical, okay, because I think there's something in between. I don't think it's flat, but it might not be round either. Maybe it is more.
Yeah.
And I've said that's like a sphere shaped. There's a different, there's something more to all of this than what we're being told. And so here it literally says that it's spherical.
Yeah,
So,
well, it could look like an egg, but what's the difference? I mean, it's definitely not flat.
Right.
There's weird things about it, but I don't think it's flat like a pancake. You fall off the edge.
No. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Copernicus depended on mathematical calculations and searched for the answers in ancient writings. One of the few churchmen who supported Copernicus, this cardinal, Schomburg, wrote to him in 1536. I have learned that you know not only the groundwork of ancient mathematical doctrines, but that you have created a new theory, according to which the earth is in motion and it is the sun which occupies the fundamental and therefore the cardinal position. The concepts held were based on Greek and Roman traditions that earth, which was flat, was vaulted over by distant heavens, in which the stars were fixed. Against the star-studded heavens, the planets, from Greek word wander, moved around the earth. Therefore were thus 7 celestial bodies, from which the 7 days of the week and their names originated. The sun for Sunday, moon for Monday, Mars for Marday, Mercury for Mercedes, Jupiter for Jude, Venus Verde, Saturn for Saturday. There, go figure.
And depending on which language you're speaking, it's because in Norway, we name them after the Nordic gods and goddesses. So
right.
Depending on where you are on the planet, I guess, yeah. But yeah, everything is named after our mythology or
Thor's Day.
Thor's Day, Freya's Day, you got Odin's Day, Tuesday, and then you got Moon Day and Sunday, of course, and Saturn's Day. Yeah. Anyways, what time? Oh yeah, we're getting. We should probably maybe just stop it there.
Okay, make a note.
Make a note. So we're on 112 here. Mark that down.
Not through that anytime soon. That's going to hold another half a show. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. It takes us a while to get through because there's a lot of talking, but hey, that's what it's all about, though, right? Anybody can just go and read the PDF, but
Yeah.
they're not going to get our 2 cents in there, and that's what
Well, and
the price of admission is,
well,
So,
like I said, this is well worth watching and discussing. I mean, if you just wanted us to read it, well, you could read it yourselves. But
that's what I just said. Yeah, I know.
that's you're exactly right. I mean, who want? But then again, who wants to do that? It's a lot more fun when you can talk to us.
Well, that's just it. Nobody likes, especially ancient texts like this. Nobody, seems to have the patience to read. Period nowadays. So, yeah. So, and the same with me. I don't want to just sit here and read that either. I might as well make a show out of it. And that way we can we can
Mhm.
discuss it, and if you guys have questions, you guys can get your questions answered as well, whether it's live here during the show. That's always the best. But if not, if you're watching it later, which most people are, there's not very many people in here right now,
Yeah.
just leave them down in the comment section. You know what I mean? Then we can discuss it further. We can bring that up for the next show. If you have a question and I think, yeah, this one we need to, I will bring it, or I'll write it down and bring it to the next show. You know what I mean? So use the
Yeah.
comment section. That's what it's for,
I I see
and
Chris Smith. See, he's been on before. I've discovered more planets beyond Pluto. Yes, there's a system that they use to grade a planet, and I never knew this, but our solar system is actually full of planets, except that they only tell us about the ones that qualify.
mhm.
And
Actually,
you
I
know,
remember a few years ago, it was like in 2014, 15, somewhere in there,
mhm,
they announced it on the news that they had found a sister solar system exactly to ours, and there is an exact planet or Earth in there. The exact
mhm.
same. Okay, this was on the news, on the lamestream. I mean, you have to believe it, especially back then. We did, anything they said there. That's the gospel. So, yeah. So what happened to that? I haven't heard anything more about that. Why is Musk not wanting to go and check out the Earth on the other planet? Like, are we just not able to go there? Or I haven't heard any mention of that at all, because that's very interesting. You
Yeah,
know,
he's just bugging out to Mars. That's all.
he just wants to go there. I know. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Skip
Yeah.
the moon. We've been there. We did a movie with that. We're gonna go to Mars next. That way,
Yeah.
everybody be like, "Oh, this is all new footage. Cool." Like, yeah, sure, okay, right, whatever.
According to the whoever, I don't know their names, but apparently there's already stations up there on
Yeah,
Mars as well. So yeah.
well, exactly. And the
So
moon, and that's the thing too is it's hard to believe anybody about these things. I mean, I know I can look through a telescope and I can see Mars. I can look
mhm,
through hell. I can look at my binoculars and see Jupiter. It's so
mhm,
big. On certain times of the year, you can just look up there and see it. You can see it through or your binoculars or an ordinary small telescope. It's
mhm.
not hard. Um, so
Yeah.
it proves to me that it actually exists. Um, but
Mhm.
the thing is we put so much faith into these scientists and astronomers. They could tell us pretty much anything, and we'll sit there and believe it. Oh, it's doing this, it's doing that. Well, I can't
Well,
take.
we've been told that we have to listen to authority and whatever they're saying, whether it's your doctor, your teacher, any adult, really. As it wasn't that long ago since we were told that we have to listen to them, and it's just
Yep.
recently now, really, that we've really
Well,
come to disprove all of that. You know,
now this is why I miss Bruce Seasall so much because
yeah,
he you we have the technology that you and me could buy for a price, of course, but affordable price,
yeah,
that we can have our own little astronomy thing going, our own big telescope, and on a dark night you can look at the
yeah.
moon
Well, you
and the
saw what happened
stars
to him.
and the planet.
Saw what
Yeah,
happened to him, right? All of a sudden, he's got a heart attack.
yeah,
Yeah. So that's the thing. They don't want, he got too close. You guys should go and check that out. Bruce sees all. You got to go over there, subscribe to his channel, and go and binge watch some of his videos, because he's got actual footage from on and around the moon, and you can see all kinds of activity going on, you know. And that's the thing, anything that's coming from NASA is all been redacted, like literally they'll like cross it out, like, you know, things that they don't want you to see, you know. So we need more independent people like that. Not just, there's probably a lot of people with telescopes or doing all kinds of things. It's just that most people don't have the guts to come out here on YouTube and freaking show it to you guys. You know, they're keeping that information to themselves. Most people. Nobody wants to be the one that sticks out and, you know, is essentially going to be the you know, the one that's going to get it. So yeah, so you gotta give him kudos for that. You know, I know his brother is still doing. He still does shows, but it's not the same as what Bruce was doing, obviously. So, yeah, go and check that out. Yeah, there's a lot more going on here than, you know, what we've been told, and I'm hoping to find some gems in this text. You know, because I mean, yes, this is translated by Sitchin. It could be a whole debate on whether or not Sitchin was on board, above board, you know what I mean? Like, because some people, I'm sure, are slandering his name as well, saying that he was bought and paid for, and everything that he's done is all just, you know, there's just it's so much misinformation out there now. They're literally, you know, our people are working full time just to try to discredit people. And I mean, this is a thing now, like, so it's very hard to kind of navigate through it all to figure out, you know, what is what. So take what resonates, leave the rest behind. That's what I do. You know, go with your gut here as we're reading. You know what I mean. So yeah. So hopefully you guys are getting something out of this as well. But yeah, there's always some gems, and we found a couple again today. So
like I said, you know, I put some effort in. Like I said, that book, Epic of Humanity, is really good. It talks a lot about, and you know, and then I just finished up all the Anunnaki stuff on the one, and now Billy Carson's going into about the you know, Atlantis thing, and you know, the Hindu stuff with the Vedas, and the you know, the India wars, and you know, the Bhagavad Gita, I guess, something like that. Anyway, but it talks about, you know, he's talking about how a regular war would be fought back in the day, horse against horse, you know, man against man, chariot against chariot. But then, you know, and you're not supposed to hurt the drummers, you know, you're not supposed to, you know, kill off the bugle players. You know, there was honor in war, you know, basically. And he's saying all of a sudden, you know, here comes this big, you know, earth-striking thing, and everything was dying on both sides. You know, the elephants were dying, the animals were dying, the people were dying, and the war was, you know, you know, what did they use to destroy everybody? You know, this wasn't normal war. And so that's where I've kind of ended off, and it just tells you that were they souping up some ancient weapon from thousands of years before? I mean, it's like us right now. We got a nuclear weapon. But if our society crashed, like Planet of the Apes, remember Planet of the Apes? And he gets there in that one episode, and this is the old Planet of the Apes. And he goes there, and they're worshiping a nuclear missile in a bunker. And he's like, "Oh my God, it's a nuclear missile! You know what are you people doing?" And the guy's pushing the buttons, and he's like, "Oh, don't do that!" And then it explodes and kills them all. You know, and I'm thinking, because they didn't know what it was.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's kind of like us. You know, we are the monkeys still. You know, like we're kind of like that, right? And you know, well, I mean, nobody's going to know until you know, you know, and until you've been told. But they do talk about the evil wind. I know in the Anunnaki video that we're watching there. You know, so yeah, they had nuclear, you know, capabilities. And actually, I've today I got some information about the Hopi prophecy.
Yep.
and how that is being played out right now. And they talk also about nuclear, or not just nuclear, but there's other weapons that can destroy everything, all our waters, everything. They talk about that in there as well. And so I can't wait to do that. I did actually post a little video about it earlier today. It's like a 9-minute type of thing. It's just a little B-roll thing that I did. But if you listen to that, you'll know exactly where that video is going and what I'm bringing out. Because if you listen to that a few years ago, you wouldn't pick up at all about any of the stuff that we're going to be picking up here now, because now it's actually happening. The things that guy is talking about, that you know exactly who he's talking about now. And so we are there now. Like this is such an interesting time. Like it's unbelievable. Anyways, in 2 weeks we're gonna do that show. And so in the meantime, if you guys check out that little video I posted there, and go check up anything on the Hopi, and come with questions, because maybe you guys got some puzzles that we don't have, and you know what I mean, you can add to it. I got some comments on that video. It seems like a lot of people have been studying the Hopi prophecies, and so it's probably a lot of you that have a lot of information about it. So bring it to the table. You know what I mean? Love to hear from you. Use the comment section, like I said. So very interesting. We have to, and this is kind of why we have to go back, way back, and study.
Yeah.
Because that Hopi stuff is from like a long time ago. And so we need to revisit in order to figure out what's going on today. And that's exactly what we're doing here. That is the intention behind these videos, is to dive into the old text to see if we can find some answers that's going to help us today. So
well, but see, it's like the Nostradamus stuff too. People been trying to interpret that for future stuff, and for years and years and years, and then it seems like until it actually happens, then they go, "Oh my gosh, yes, there's the text. Now it makes sense." See,
well, that's the thing, because we are evolving, and our technology is evolving so fast that something we read 10 years ago went over our heads. It didn't mean anything, the Nostradamus, whatever. But today, now all of a sudden, oh yeah, I know exactly what that is now. You know what I mean? You don't know until you know. Like I said, like we're just stupid animals until we are educated, and that's just, that's like a never ending thing. You're never going to be too educated. You're never going to know too much. Like there's always more. There's always new stuff. And so, it's a very interesting time to be alive, I got to say. It really is. As much as it's scary, it's very interesting. So, So, I enjoyed this. Thank you for coming on. I don't see any questions. There's not a lot of chat today. I think this time change thing may have screwed people's schedules up as well. You know what I mean? They don't realize what time it is, and it's getting lighter out now. So now people are outside starting to garden, spring cleaning, all that stuff is happening now. So that's okay. That's what the replay's for. Watch it when you can, right? And then again, use the comment section. That's what that's for. But also check out the links. I got Robert's channels down in there, and all my links. Lots of ways to support the channel and show some love. If you are enjoying the shows and the content, there's ways to show it, as well as liking, sharing, subscribing if you haven't. That's always nice as well. And do you have any last words there, Robert?
Well, I hope everybody can join me on Tuesday night for Native American Myths and Legends. We will be there. David Null, Hawkeye, Two Feathers. And we'll be telling some great stories and learning some things about the natives that you probably never heard before. So join us there on Tuesday.
Very, very interesting, those shows. You're getting a lot of views on those, so people are definitely interested. Again, going back, learning about our history, learning where we come from and the way we did things. And I think people are interested in that, even if it's just for that little voice in the back of your head wondering, geez, if everything goes to heck in the handbasket here, we might need those skills again. even if it's just for that fact alone, because I think a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
people are starting to like, oh yeah, maybe we should pay attention. Or maybe we should, you know what I mean? And I was going to ask too, have you guys done a show on the Hopi prophecy at all yet in that series or no?
It's been a long time since we talked about the Hopis.
Okay, but
Um,
you have in the past, though. You have done
yeah,
shows on that.
we've skimmed over. We talked about it.
Okay.
You know, I would like to do it again, and maybe I'll hit base on that a little bit on a Tuesday night before our show. You know, we have on a Sunday, so I'll get
Yeah.
a little taste
Well,
of it.
maybe after we've done ours on here, that might spring up some more things for you, and maybe do another show on your channel on that as well.
Well, we are right now. We've been talking about the Apaches and the Plains Indians. We are moving towards the Hopi and the Navajo and all of those natives that lived out in the west there. So we will be talking about them very soon, and that might
Oh,
be a
there you
good
go.
step
Perfect
to
timing.
get into.
Perfect
Yeah.
timing.
Mhm.
There you go. All right. So make sure you subscribe to Robert's channel there. So, yeah, thank you all for watching. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. And yeah, I got my show on Wednesday, of course, the hump day, same time, 5 o'clock on Wednesday there, Pacific time zone. Not sure about next Sunday. I'll let you guys know as the week progresses here. But definitely in 2 weeks, we'll be returning with the Hopi prophecy with a whole new twist to it. So it's happening right now. So stay tuned, everybody. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.